So hello and welcome back to Netflix Football. Good evening, good afternoon and good morning from wherever you're watching from all over the world. This is your host Neil back again with Monday Night Football. Especially covering all the matches and all the transfer gossips that has happened in the weekend and all the news related to football that comes through the pipelines. It's all here in one place at Netflix Football on Monday Night Football with Neil. I appreciate you for all the support that you've been giving me. It's been tremendous. Trust me, it's been tremendous. So keep the support growing. We're almost close to 1600 right now. The journey to 2K is well and underway. So goes without saying, do subscribe to the channel. Of course, do subscribe to the channel. Where would you go without subscribing to the channel? It's your duty to let me grow, to make me and the community much more bigger. I wanted this dream basically to prove the loyalty that the Asian fans are subjected to. Like, if we are Asian, we cannot be a Manchester United fan. If you're not from Manchester or not from England, we cannot be a Manchester United fan. That got to me. That got to the depths of my heart. Like, I want to do something about that. So this segment will talk about all the transfers, especially as you can see on the thumbnail. It is about Jack Grealish and Harry Kane, both linked heavily to Manchester City. And to talk about that tonight, I've got an expert panelist with me who will be on the screen in 3, 2 and 1. Kaushikda, you're live. So how's it been, Kaushikda? It's a long time. The Europa League final has not been kind to us. The Euro final has not been kind to United players, but hopefully looking forward to the new season with the likes of Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane already signed on.
Yeah, that's. I believe that's the perfect way to build on failure or shortcoming, I would say, because if you look at how we considered that particular goal, that single goal in the Europa League final, it was from a set piece itself. So to have getting additions in crucial areas, some place where we are lacking, especially the right wing and central defense, and you're not getting so names as on previous podcasts we were speculating about. B targets such as Rafinha, or if not Pau Torres in defense. But we have got our tier 1 targets, Jadon Sancho, somebody whom I really wanted last year. And
who everybody wanted.
Oh, of course. I still can't get over the fact that we have signed someone as Rafael Varane. I mean, all the centre backs which we have signed apart from Harry Maguire, all of them so far have not clicked that well.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about Lindelof, who has been excellent on sporadic occasions, and then there's Bailly, who is all talk and no show, and is basically a very thin piece of glass who, if you even touch, it crumbles. All those second quality mobile guards we get in Esplanade, something like that. But he'll talk about getting game time and nothing else. And what we suffer from tremendously in defense is pace and agility at the back. We get really sluggish because Harry Maguire is a very hefty frame. I don't expect him to, run around like a stallion. So to have somebody like a Rafael Varane, somebody essentially in the mold of a Rio Ferdinand, because he idolized him basically, it's tremendous. His distribution ability is second to none. He's a strong lad, good in tackles. Just the missing piece of puzzle which we currently have is midfielder. And I won't mind a certain Portuguese who sports a very nice beard and he's only 24. Others can have different opinions, but I would love a certain Ruben Neves if nobody else is available.
Absolutely. Ruben Neves, it fits in the bill. People forget how much that Ruben Neves, he was the defensive midfielder for Wolves when they were playing in the Championship. It is only when Adama Traore came in from Middlesbrough to Wolves, they started playing a back five with Adama Traore as the right wing back. Then they shifted into a transitional 3-4-3 kind of a system where Joao Moutinho and Ruben Neves played. Doesn't mean he right now plays as a box-to-box. He cannot play. I think he's in the mold of a Michael Carrick. Exceptional passer, exceptional ball-winning abilities. You've seen that Statman Dave quote, what the statistics has been given. We've talked about Ruben Neves a lot. I'm not going to get my sources into trouble without getting proper information. But right now, let's talk about the transfer dealings that is selling like hotcakes at the moment, especially Jack Grealish. The fact that Leon Bailey has signed for Aston Villa for 30 million Especially he's a player who can play through either of the wings, play as the number 10. I don't think he'll necessarily play as a striker with Ollie Watkins in the squad. Do you think that he is the tailor-made replacement for Jack Grealish, considering Buendia is also their number 1? And number 2, Villa investing so heftily. Buendia 35, the Bailey 30 million. Do you think they are willing to let go of Jack Grealish for that 100 million?
Anybody, I mean, you can deny all you want, but you have to come with the reality. You know, you don't just buy specific players who look like they are perfect substitutes for the ones you have already in your team. And Leon Bailey, the likes of Buendia, you're looking at perhaps eyeing somebody as a cover, and you only eye them as a cover only because you know that maybe one of your star players might actually go. He might actually get an offer from a big team, and he might actually be tempted to leave for that particular club. In this case, it's the blue half of Manchester or Manchester City who are offering not just 40, 60, 50 million. They're trying to offer something in the range of 100 million pounds. So Villa obviously have this anticipation. They obviously know that City, I won't say they are bigger in pedigree, because if I go on talking about the European titles which all the other clubs in England have, and for even in the second division, Manchester City will come up short. Let's not go there, but in the current frame of the time which is happening, City are regular challengers to the Premier League, and they provide consistent, consistent if not exceptional appearances in the Champions League. So a player would be tempted to go there. It's a good squad. It's actually a very good squad with a very, very good quality coach. And you're going to get essentially an upgrade compared to, with all due respect to Aston Villa from my end. But it would be dream of any player. But I don't understand, because City, the kind of options they have, I don't understand how can Grealish think himself to be directly above the pecking order of some of the existing options that Manchester City has in either of the wings and the central attacking midfield or the shadow centre forward role. I don't get that point.
Like, when has that ever stopped City from spending? They had Leroy Sané, they had Sterling, they still went for Mahrez for 60 million. Like, this is City's playground if they want to enter into a negotiation deal, especially with Manchester United having made 2 stalwart deals in the transfer market. They have to respond, haven't they?
Oh, most definitely, because they come with a very, very heavy backing. Our club, which basically functions on its own revenue generations, its own pull, its own earnings that they generate through, ticket sales, or let's say merchandising sales, or the commercial aspects. The other side, they don't do that so much. They are heavily reliant on getting consistent backing as well as consistent input of finances as well as anything strategic when it comes to transfer dealings from their bosses. What we call petro money. I'm being very, very brutally honest over here. That's how their foundations has been built, and probably they are safe for the next 40, 50 years until all the, oil reserves, they all dry up. Then they perhaps would want to look at a coal merchant or a solar power dynasty to power them. So I don't know, City, there has been a lot going on behind the scenes. I read these articles. It was something like a whistleblower taking out facts regarding City's wrongdoing and some sort of an arbitration which is going on with the Premier League. So I have always suspected them of doing something or the other wrong, breaching financial fair play rules, etc. So in that essence in mind, nothing will stop them from spending, because they never stop spending. They have something in the region of almost $500 million alone on their defense, and they did it with ease and luxury, even though they didn't need someone, and they basically sold them off. So yeah, I don't expect them to sit quietly even in this pandemic market, and I expect them to make moves. And certainly Jack Grealish looks like a very real possibility, but I don't know, but my hunch says it will go through.
If the Jack Grealish deal does go through, Pep Guardiola would have spent over 1 billion in transfer fee incomings in Manchester City, and he has the trophies to show for elusive of that Champions League. Like, I believe that if anybody can stop Pep Guardiola, it is Pep Guardiola himself. So all the massive respect that would be that kind of, like, well, let's not just go over there. We all know what happened, not playing Fernandinho, playing two box-to-box midfielders, like, all went haywire. But Kaushik, I'd like to ask you this, that we have all talked about how Manchester City are doing wrongs so much, but let's talk about what they have done right. Their academy, they've invested so much in their academy. Their academy facilities are second to none in the world, even over eclipsing Manchester United's one that has been known for, that we haven't been known for our academies, but they are so much polished. They have invested so much time in their youth. We all see, like, especially with the likes of Charlie McNeil, who is a Manchester United player but was formerly of a Manchester City trainee. There are other players who are coming through. Jadon Sancho, very recently Manchester United player again. Do you think that even though they are spending, they know that they cannot spend this for the large part of the next 10 years or so, and they are looking in the United way to provide more academy stars in the route of Phil Foden into the first team, especially with Brexit?
Yes, they will have to look at that, because with Brexit in place, you can only have a certain quota or certain set number of players of certain nationalities in your team, and it has to include a lot of homegrown players. So the more you try to look outside, it's not going to be possible even if you have humongous amounts of money, because you cannot go over government legislation. You will be in a rut if you try to overrule them or go past that. No amount of power can save you that, because it's going to be a slam dunk penalty, disqualification, any kind of stuff. So yes, what they have done is, even though we basically, a lot of the people, they despise the likes of Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, even Chelsea to some extent, because of the way they used somebody else's money and basically go to the top from the bottom. However, you have to see, Manchester City has revamped its complete youth facilities, and yes, they do provide or produce very excellent talent. However, you cannot just adopt somebody's philosophy just because you are revamping it on the own way. City, in a sense, even though they'll create the most amazing training facilities, pump in cash, you cannot change certain things known as identities, or in a sense something we know as DNA, something which is already there within the very foundations of your club. Now if you look at 2 or 3 clubs which are very, very well known for for promoting their homegrown players, and we as United, we are the pioneers of that. For the last 70-80 years, for each and every game, there has been at least 1 or 2 candidates who have been from our academies, and they have gone on to become captains as well as legends, not only for our club, as for the country. So you can't just buy your way into that just by producing academies. You also have to have that mentality. Otherwise, you tell me, Samrat, thing is, somebody like a Jadon Sancho, he was growing up, he was getting nurtured very well in the City system. But if you see one of his interviews or some of his, the inertia or the essence that you get from that, he was fearing that he will not get enough chances behind the already expensive players that were in the system.
Right.
But the likes of Greenwood, the likes of Anthony Elanga, they will not fear that, because on our side, we have a system or a managers who believes in giving youngsters a chance. So you can't beat that. Of course, you can revamp your youth and you can integrate them more into your system post exit, but you can't just adopt a club's another club's identity just by pumping in cash. It has to be there right from the start, how your club was built and how it carries on. And it's decades and decades and years of institution which exists. It can't be just imbibed with cold hard cash. Some of these things can't be bought. Some of these things are priceless. The identity, the fundamentals of a particular club.
Absolutely spot on, nail on the head, the hammer on the nail and of the head. Especially that what reverberates around the Jadon Sancho interview, and the more aesthetics of that deal is that even though, especially with the likes of Scott McTominay coming in, he's going to have a place in the squad, even with proper defensive midfielders coming in. The likes of Tuanzebe, he knows he has a future in the club, although he has to go out on loan. But there's just only Phil Foden in the Manchester City reckonings. There's no one else. That speaks volumes, and that the appeal of, it's not just written youth, courage, success on the jersey head for just show. It's there because Manchester United have an academy player since 1930s. In each match day squad, there has been at least one academy player. And trust me, as the years have passed on, it's been more than that. Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard in his prime years in 13-14, Marcus Rashford, all those likes, and Brandon Williams coming in, Dean Henderson coming in, all, as you said, exceptionally good players. Except I'll pick out Brandon Williams from that for a moment, or else I'll get the mobbing. By the way, transfer news regarding Brandon Williams is that probably Norwich City is the club he's heading to. Tuanzebe heading to Newcastle, of which they'll pay a 5 million loan fee. Probably both very good experience for both, especially with the likes of Alex Telles and Diego Dalot, considering he stays, are both much more better quality than what Brandon Williams offers at the moment. Alright, time for some Ruben Neves talk. Other than that, we'll keep Ruben Neves on the third of the pecking order. I'll ask you about Erling Haaland. Like, Chelsea has been linked with Erling Haaland. The sources tell me that Chelsea want to defy the odds with Erling Haaland with Borussia Dortmund. Then they want to go to the Koundé deal. So the Koundé deal is not just being held up by Kurt Zuma's proposed move to West Ham or all those intricacies. But Chelsea are looking at the possibility, because they are stacked in defense. They have Thiago Silva for another year. Erling Haaland, if he joins Chelsea, I did this with Amay on his podcast. Him and Timo Werner, especially with the likes that Timo Werner likes to play off a tall, lanky striker, as Viz Yusuf Poulsen in Leipzig. We've seen the best in him. Do you think the Premier League is done and dusted between City and Chelsea, especially if Kane and if Erling Haaland goes to the respective clubs?
Erling Haaland, is somebody who will provide direct impact no matter which team he joins. He is somebody who is a brute force. Now, but there's a catch. Have you ever got a little bit sick after taking antibiotics or any kind of medicine? Perhaps you took azithromycin and you perhaps had a bad stomach the next day and you would have feel nauseous. Erling Haaland is such. It's not the problem the person is associated with. A certain bag whose words start with an S, and it's our favorite manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, named that term. You are bringing that person into your club, and that person is going to decimate everything within your club. And you'll see, Haaland, if he joins, there are talks of him demanding something in the ranges of, I don't know if it's tax included or exclusive, £400,000 per week. That is ludicrous, even for someone of his caliber. And it will completely, blow away your existing wage system. Sooner rather than later, you will have a situation which we currently are facing with our number 6.
Right.
You won't know whether you will get a 60 million out of him or you will lose him for free. Not once, but probably more than once in our case. It's going to happen. So there is always a chance. You might get 1 or 2 seasons of pristine thing, but his agent would want to include some sort of a very low figure release clause so that his client can move somewhere else.
Right.
And he ends up getting commission. So you might get 1 or 2 years where you will be absolutely at the top of your game, decimating opposition here and there, perhaps even challenging for the titles and winning and dominating on Europa. But what will happen is you will be so over dependent on him. And then that over dependency will be used as a leverage by Mino Raiola to force you into accepting terms which are detrimental not only for your club, but for the harmony inside your dressing room.
Right.
And Chelsea will have European champions within that dressing room. I'm talking about Jorginho. I'm talking about high caliber players such as Thiago Silva, who has pretty much won it all, barring a few major tournaments. You have players like this, and if you see someone not nearly as accomplished in terms of achievements, somebody with tremendous potential earning quadruple amount of fees compared to whatever you're getting, it's going to inevitably create jealousy. It's going to create conflicts within the system. You will have people suffering from inferiority or superiority complex, and your dressing room will break up. Something which we experienced not so long ago under Jose Mourinho, when Alexis Sanchez was on a ludicrous amount of fees, and because of that, David De Gea got re-signed on by Manchester United for around £375,000 per week, and we are suffering the consequences. None of our players are getting sold so easily because none of the opposing clubs can afford those kind of wages which our players are on.
Hmm.
And there is always the chance this will happen until and unless he changes his um, agent.
Right.
Yeah, the reward is good, but the risk is much bigger considering, clubs, successful clubs, they look at short term, medium term, and long term. And for your short term and medium term, it's not going to be good enough. You will not recapitulate your money, but you will end up losing your dressing room, perhaps your manager, and sanctity as well as peace or patience within your club. That's my two pieces or 2 cents on this.
Especially on the same lines as Adrian Rabiot, what cooking he's stirring up at Juventus and France, and they cannot upload him. It's for the same reason he's on high wages as well. Before we move on to the next topic, especially wishing Obradipda a very happy birthday. Guys, get on the chat, wish our Manchester City fan a very happy birthday. Obradipda, thank you for so much for supporting my channel, coming on. Yeah, Kaushikda?
Happy birthday, Obradip.
So are you Mancunians? This is between Mancunians, either of the blue half or the red half. We have immense respect for you, but yes, the money mongers will not. The tag will always be in banter for you folks. Okay, Shamrat Roy Choudhury says talk about Christian Romero. Yes, it's a good topic. Christian Romero, 50 million to Spurs. Good deal, Kaushikda?
Absolutely. I believe if
Tailor-made replacement for Alderweireld, do you think? I think so.
Yes, absolutely. He's an upcoming. I mean, if you ask my favorites of all the options that we had on centre back, if we did not get Rafael Varane, I Kunde as exceptional as he is, I don't like him that much. Did I fancy Pau Torres? But Christian Romero, based on what I saw in Syria as well as in Copa America, he would have certainly be my go-to target if we didn't land Rafi. So that's how highly I rate him. And Tottenham, they end up making good deals, on certain occasions. They do end up making good deals. Speaking of Christian Romero on the line, Bergwijn for them is a good buy. I mean, good purchase that they made a few back. So Christian Romero, he will provide, maybe he's just new on the scene, but yes, he will provide stuff on the similar traits to what Alderweireld provided. Exceptional coordination at the back. Very, very nice situational awareness. Somebody who is not, reckless in sense as well as lacking confidence when attempting tackles. I mean, his video is pretty much viral on the internet. The one where he casually backflipped ball out of a defender's grab while he was approaching. That shows how much calmness and ability he has in himself, and that is what you want in a centre half.
Right.
If you see a player like that player won't half-heartedly jump for aerial duels. That person will go in, and that person will be able to cope up with the tenacity of the English Premier League.
Right.
If Christian Romero does sign for Tottenham Hotspur, it will be a good deal for them. But it would hurt a lot less to us because we certainly have Rafael Varane in our team. Had we not got him and they had got him, it would have been a bitter pill to swallow. Because Tottenham, Daniel Levy is a negotiator. Let's not do that, and he's technically very miser as well as very adept at making very nice signings. So it's going to be a good signing for them. I rate him very highly. Christian Romero, probably one of the most good and very
up and coming promising centre backs in the world football. Definitely. But the news that has been coming to me from my sources is that Tottenham are holding out for outgoings because, let's face it, their transfer budget is not as same after making the stadium, after having some losses in the pandemic. The tickets are the highest. Their season tickets are the highest in the Premier League. They are trying to recoup that enormous amounts being invested in the stadium. And I let's hope that Tottenham, with all their hindsight and foresight, do not end up like Arsenal and become a selling club. That harms the reputation of the club and the Premier League. Christian Romero, fantastic player. I think he'll be official probably when Spurs understand that what is going to be happening with Harry Kane, because part of that money they're probably offering Kane around 350k a week, which will not come cheap considering all the players they have on high wages. They have already gotten Bryan Gill, that is an exceptional signing for 25 million plus Eric Lamela. So the finances are in question. I'll take a few comments. Yes, 3 more signings to happen even if Kane stays with us. I think that's a bit dicey considering the fact of what finances you guys can afford. But more the merrier. The Premier League, best league in the world for a reason. All right, now moving on to the most part, the USP of the show is Harry Kane. Facts state that he has not showed up for training. Number one. Number two, he has had a gentleman's agreement for more than a year with Daniel Levy to leave for a club if Tottenham do not qualify for the Champions League. Man City have had already 100 million bid rejected for Tottenham Hotspur striker. And you see the shenanigans and the drama being unfolded. Harry Kane obviously forcing a move. Rio Ferdinand coming out with a tweet that imagine if Paul Pogba hadn't turned up for training. The Sharks and the FBI would have probably gone on there and tracked his daily movements. But the English media, since Harry Kane is Harry Kane, there's no fuss about it, and people are actually supporting probably what I call an unprofessional move. It hurts. Tottenham fan Shamrat says that he hurts, but Kaushikda, again, how we've seen how brilliant City are, especially without playing a number 9. They've formidably changed the playing football dimensions with a false 9 or a support striker with Kevin De Bruyne getting the fair share of goals. But do you think number 1 Harry Kane fits into their system? Because we know Pep Guardiola doesn't usually take, like, let's say, players in their peak. He wants players who he can remold into what he wants. So do you think Harry Kane for more than 100 million makes sense?
City basically, just because they don't use their number 9 so well, or don't really need the number 9s with the way they operate, will it really harm them if they can get their hands on probably a striker who is consistently getting chances at winning the Golden Boot every season? Why would they not? It would add a different dimension, because the moment you add a striker like Harry Kane to your team, automatically the way City varies its formations and styles of play within games because of Guardiola, because he's a very good tactician. He can alter formation styles of play very easily. Now, if you add a certain Harry Kane to that team, it can mimic or copy the styles which opponent teams operate with, traditional styles, and it can add a different dimension to them. Not only can he play very good as a striker, he is exceptionally good on the left wing as well. He can easily play that. He can play in behind the main striker, and he's a very good pedigree player. Somebody who is good in the air, somebody who can just with the snap of your fingers turn the match in your favor, scores crunch goals, doesn't really crumble under pressure. So it would probably give them the status of almost untouchable. So as a United fan, I definitely won't want this deal to happen, because City might actually get the missing piece in the puzzle, and perhaps go that extra step which they perhaps are missing, and for which they're ridiculously trolled by even Nottingham Forest fans as far as the European conquests are concerned. However, speaking of the gentleman's agreement, I believe
why just Nottingham Forest? Why not Aston Villa, who defeated a Rummenigge-led Bayern Munich in 1981, if memory serves me right? So they have both clubs in their heels right now.
Anyways, speaking of gentleman's agreement, before the entire Rafael Varane saga unfolded, till the final moment while he was at the Real Madrid training ground, you didn't see even a single crooked eyebrow which I currently have when he was talking to his teammates. Because that man, he was a part of Real Madrid setup when he started properly his, a proper professional career. I know Lille molded him, but he started playing properly with a high-profile team such as Real Madrid, a team which is very, very successful in European and even in the Spanish circle. And since he was there, that team gave him the opportunity to feature in European competitions. He behaved in the most amazing way. Right. Even when his agents were negotiating with us, he did not, do that thing of just not visiting the the training grounds. He trained. Some of the last Real Madrid photos featured him before he made his move, and he hugged his teammates, and he could see each and every teammate of his penned letters. And Madrid fans, the ultras who were there, they don't often give you proper goodbyes even if you leave the team. But Real Madrid, hardcore Real Madrid Twitter handles, they were congratulating Rafael Varane for the man he is. And if we're talking about somebody as Harry Kane, the captain of England, perhaps a striker who might break their international goal record with the way
Mm-hmm.
he scores in international friendlies, competitions, whatever you can say.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see him behave like this with the club which basically springboarded him into an elite status, the club which has given him what he is, the fans who adore him, he basically has a cult status in Tottenham for the way he plays for them. He's revered by those people. This is not the way you give it back to the people who are willing to pay so much on season tickets because your club is spending so much to watch you, to support you, to call you our Harry Kane. And honestly, kind of players which we had in our club, as good as Harry Kane is, if this is the kind of attitude he showcases, you know, I don't think our management or Solskjaer, even if he's available, would want to go for him because, again, in crunch situations, you should be at least respectful to the current employers who are employing you, who are
Right.
giving you your wages. Where is the integrity? Just because you have a gentleman agreement doesn't mean you can't just stop coming for training. Look at other people there. And yes, he's protected because he's the darling of the British media. Otherwise, other players would have been slaughtered. You could see their blood spilt on the floor had there been Paul Pogba. Graham Souness would have had a field day. He would have taken out firecrackers and celebrated way before it actually is. But that's not the case with
Uh,
Harry Kane because he's there. There was fire, and he's got no one doing fault right there, is it?
quite few notions mixed up in there, but still, like, would he like he? I remember him saying that he wants, even if he leaves, he wants to leave on a good note. Tottenham has given him amazing memories. He wants to remain loyal to that fan base, and him leaving like this, would he be labeled as a snake, or what we in terms of professional terms, in terms of betraying the club owing for success? More like he was likened with Alan Shearer, who he spent his whole career almost in Newcastle, formerly of Blackburn, winning the Premier League in 1995. But then Shearer got a lot of offers, especially from Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal back then, but he stayed put at Tyneside. But do you think that comparison that Harry Kane has with Alan Shearer, owing to his play style, owing to his goal scoring records, do you think all goes down the drain when he makes that switch to the blue half of Manchester?
Yeah, if the switch to the blue half is made on the lines of how Varane transfer happened, I believe a lot of the majority of the fans will not hold it against him to go to a club which provides you Champions League football. But the way this has started already, top journalists, they are reporting that a player has come back from his holiday and didn't even bother to turn up to the training ground.
It's very
If
unprofessional.
and he is a club captain, for Christ's sake. He's just not any other squad player who occasionally plays and only does photo ops or TikToks on your social media to increase your followers. He is Harry Kane. He is your club captain. He wears your armband and he represents England.
England
You know,
captain as
and
well. What image is he taking on?
young people, they idolize people like, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Jack Grealish, Jadon Sancho. To some, these are players who they look up to because not only are they phenomenal strikers, you expect them to hold an image and carry your club in a certain way. You identify your club. For example, if just the moment I'll talk about Francesco Totti, Roma flashes in your mind 100%. Similarly, it
Right.
goes for Pirlo. If I talk about them, or Philip Lahm, Bayern Munchen would come to
Pillo is a
the.
very bad example. He's played for three Italian giants, Inter,
I
AC,
know.
and Juventus. I know you backtracked on that as soon as you spoke about it. So Paul Scholes, the likes of Ryan Giggs, Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You remember, I think there is a video of Peter Schmeichel when he made his switch from Manchester United. They were in the tunnel, and Gary Neville, you
Right.
know, when he tried to shake his hands, it was like Gary Neville took his hand away as if somebody was having guard in his hand and trying to touch him. So that is how, if hardcore players in your team, they look at you like this, imagine what, you know, people who are supporting your club for 40, 50 years, people who have been there when the stadium was bombed. Multiple stadiums in England were bombed, and when Tottenham Hotspur was still a club. People who wake up and support that club, who cry, want to commit suicide if the team loses. even though I understand, people's
We're
emotions are
not
linked.
promoting suicide in any way. If you have any mental problems, do come in touch
Please,
with any of us. We'd be happy to
please,
discuss.
please. It's just that I'm saying
The notion, right?
how intricately, look at me, man. I could have worn any other color, but I am wearing the color which I associate myself with, the
Right.
color which my team associates with. That is how passionate I am, and I haven't even visited Old Trafford, but I have the same passion. Imagine the people who go there, who buy your tickets, who chant through winter, snow, rain, hailstorms, even brutalities when fan crashes occur, and they support you. And this won't leave a sweet note. It has already started on a bitter note. A journalist like Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, Alistair Gold, they're all tweeting stuff like this, that he has not turned up for the training. It already tarnishes your image in cult fans, and yes, he will be called this. No doubt in this.
True
If he
fact.
does,
True fact on that. On the other term, Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson, who has been probably negotiating over a new contract. All Liverpool fans would want to know. There's still no breakthrough in that, but he is absolutely a top class professional that he is from day one, and he is there out leading his side. Was probably joined in training yesterday, I think, with all the English players coming in. But then again, very much hopeful for Sneak Nil says, someone please buy my phone. I have transfer listed it already. Not gonna lie, it's been a great backup throughout. So Man City, if you need a great backup, you can go and buy Sneak the Neil's phone over there. Kaushik, it was a pleasure hosting you on Monday Night Football with Neil. Absolute. The words which you weave is brilliant to have you on the show, and you're quite revered for your vocabulary and also the knowledge you take. Season starts in probably around 10 days or so. In not 10 days, something like of that sort. On 14th, we go, especially today is 2nd, so around 12 days, we face the Roses derby in Leeds United against the Marcelo Bielsa side. With what squad, I don't know, because we didn't have a proper pre-season with the proper 11 players. Let's not hope Brandon Williams starts in left back. I'll like Brandon Williams and Dan James in the same wing. Like, please.
nah.
Please, no.
No,
Please. Absolutely. Thank you for joining in. We'll be hosting you much more as the season progresses. Do keep supporting, do keep sharing, do keep liking, all of you. Thank you. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. GGMU.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was Kaushik with all his high and mighty thoughts on the Monday Night Football, the transfer sagas being dealt about, all the football being played elsewhere. Not much to report on because the season is still in its fledgling period. It's the pre-season time. Keep supporting, keep liking, keep sharing. Tomorrow, it's gonna be Indian Football Transfer Tuesdays. So do tune in at 10:30 p.m. same time, same place. I'm your host Neil, as usual. Lovely to host all of you. Like, if you want to donate, the number is there. If you want to support me, Super Chat is still rolling. We'll get there as soon as possible. I know a few of you are ready and want to make that first Super Chat on Netflix Football's YouTube channel, but you have to wait a bit longer. Then again, get me to 1600, folks. That's the request. With that, I'll have my dinner right now because I'm famished at the moment, and I'll ask you to do the same yourselves as well. Tune in tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. on Netflix Football on YouTube. We'll catch you with all the Indian transfer rumors and the all exciting news in India at the moment. Surprise coming up. A special guest is lined up. Special guest or two is lined up this week. Probably 3 as well. So let's see what happens. See you on Tuesday, tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. Bye-bye for now.